Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. If you're watching, tuning in, listening on the day that it drops, it is Monday, April 28th. This month is cooking. Remember when January was here? It didn't end. January was 3 years long. And now, look at us, like, it's a little aggressive, right? But today we're talking about the funnel industrial complex, which is a little term that ChatGPT actually served up. And I was like, yo, that is, yes, I want to talk about that. I stay talking and chatting with ChatGPT. It's been my hobby for the past 2 months, and I'm loving it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, as per always, some life updates. So first off, I changed Lex's oil last Friday, and I filmed it. If you haven't checked out that reel, I made a reel about it. It's longer. It's like a 7.5 minute reel. So if that turns you off, okay. But it goes by fast because you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And I'm super proud of that reel. It was funny. I will say it. It was funny. We'll link it in the show notes. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, myself, because I am also doing this myself now for YouTube till my guy Jojo is back from paternity leave. But I'm going to zoom out for a second and share a lesson that I learned from making that reel, right? Which is keep creating. All right, keep creating, folks. If you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling uncertain, if you're feeling whatever, keep creating in ways that feel good for you. You know, I haven't been putting out a ton of stuff on social media. I've been doing my other writing, and I've been enjoying it. I'm obviously keeping up with this, but I'm doing Instagram as it feels good. And then I came out with a 7.5 minute video, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking make it this long. It was a whole listen. Doing the actual oil change took me all day. It ended up being a debacle. I had a feeling it would, which is also why I filmed it. It takes me about an hour to do my oil on my Jeep Wrangler. Lex has a Jeep Cherokee, way less ground clearance, and she hasn't gotten an oil change in 2 years, something like that. And I was like, I'm sure she took it into Pep Boys or some shit, and they tighten the plug so much there, and I had a feeling it would be an ordeal, and it was. But I decided to record it, and then I was like, I'm gonna make this into a reel. It's really tough to cut down hours and hours of content into just a minute, 2 minutes, unless you're just taking one little part of it. But I wanted the whole thing. So I was like, whatever. It took me 4 or 5 hours to edit. I don't even know exactly how long because I was having a ton of fun editing it. Right? And that is why we create, for the fun, for the enjoyment. Right? It doesn't have to have a reason or be so intentional as to why we are creating. So if you're stuck, if you're a creator and you're stuck or you're burned out, this is likely the best path forward, which is create because you want to, not because you have to. Right? Just do it because you want to. So, changing the oil was an ordeal, but I did get some new tools out of it. I got a breaker bar. I got some new impact sockets, and I just really enjoyed doing stuff like that. The reel itself was received really well, and most folks understood that I changed the oil not to save money. It's you'll save some money, but you also don't have to fucking go to those places and deal with the brochachos there, which is that's priceless. But I do feel fixing things myself. Right? Everything doesn't have to be about optimizing your time, every minute of your fucking time and every minute of your life, right? Which is foreshadowing to today's main topic. But update number 2, I am strongly considering going to see Sinners. If you don't know what it is, it's a new movie that's out. Ryan Coogler is the director. It has what's his name from Black Panther and from Creed. But by the time you listen to this, there's a good chance that I will have already seen it. Hopefully I will take Lex this week. I have heard nothing but good things about it. It's been all over threads. I will share a clip. I'll put it in the show notes. A clip that was on threads. Jojo shared it with me. And it's Ryan Coogler, the director. He's speaking about the cinematic aspects of it and how they filmed it and the options that you'll be presented with when you go to buy tickets. This is the different size film that it was filmed on, which is really cool to me. And if that's cool to you, maybe that clip will be cool and will influence, how you go and see it. So we'll put that in the show notes. Thank you again, Courtney and me. I haven't been to the movies since before COVID. But a huge reason why I want to go see this is because it's a black movie. It's a black movie, black cast, black director, black soundtrack, and yes, take my black money. So I will let you know afterwards if I've seen it. Update number 3. Still playing guitar. still volleyball continues to improve after, especially, you know, or even after that filming. And I was like, wow, that is a Pinterest fail. But volleyball continues to go well. I think I just hit week 7 on Aaron's programming. I am swapping out like 2 or 3 exercises that I'm just like, hey, I've given it time to like try and find the stimulus and I'm not finding it. So I'm going to switch it. Very simple. But otherwise, I'm just, you know, chugging along, enjoying it a lot. But speaking of chugging along, update number 4, I did a question box in my stories last week, and I asked how people were really doing. And I said, DM me if your response is too long for the question box. And number 1, if you wrote back, thank you. I'm still working on getting back to the individual question boxes, but like the response boxes. But anyone that DM'd me, I have already DM'd them back. But either way, regardless of how you wrote to me, thank you. Thank you for sharing with me. Thank you for trusting me. There's a lot of messages, and I was like, wow, like you're being real, and I really appreciate that. But the general response was that people aren't doing great, and I expected that, which is why I asked the question. Right? There's a lot of the both and, where people are trying to stay positive and remain hopeful, but you know, they're going through their day-to-day, and they're doing their day-to-day, but they're also going through it and experiencing a feeling of dread. Right? Some overwhelm, fear, concern, uncertainty, frustration, helplessness, anger, just, you know, the gamut there. I will say that I see you and I am right there with you, which is why I asked the question. Right? I assumed and guessed people were feeling that way because I'm feeling that way. Yeah, now it kind of feels like the worst fucking people that you've ever met are getting everything that they want, and the people who can stop them are just like sitting on their hands, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Right? So the question is then, what can we do? What can I even do? I listened to a Substack live. Listen to the last episode about Substack. If you're thinking about starting a Substack, listen to the last episode I did, 661. Should you start a Substack? But Sharon McMahon, she is someone who makes sense to have a Substack. But I talk about it in the episode. But either way, she did a live on there, and she was offering up suggestions of what to do. And I was like, you know what? I really like this. And what she said was to decide on what your thing is, and then focus on that, and then lean into what you're really good at. You can't care about all the causes. You can't care about all the things, all the issues. All right, so maybe your thing is education. Maybe it's healthcare. I don't know. Let's start with one thing. Search for groups that are already doing things around this, and then join them. All right, that's what you can do. That second part that she said was to lean into what you're good at. And I obviously don't know what you're good at. I don't know you. But I will say that this is an area where you could have possibly ChatGPT help you. Yes, I know that there are problematic sides to ChatGPT. I'm not here to debate that. But if you are open and willing to using it, it could be helpful with this. Because I know I had people write back to me after I put to my mafia about this same action items. And someone wrote back and was like, how do I know? What am I good at? And I was like, I knew you were going to ask that. This person, she's probably listening to this podcast episode. You know I'm talking to you. I had a feeling that she would ask that. And I was like, I got an answer. Use ChatGPT. So the way that I suggest using ChatGPT, and I did this, is you got to share a lot of stuff with it. And if you don't like doing that, then this is not for you. But if you're okay with that, like anytime I write a blog or I write these podcast episodes, anytime I create anything, I put it in the ChatGPT so it can learn about me. Anytime I want to do a deep dive of researching things, it's done with ChatGPT. And I go back and forth with it like it's like an actual person. It learns me. It learns how I think and what I care about. Right? Recently, I was like, did a massive deep dive into economics, economic policy. I did the deep dive into coding. So it knows what I'm capable of and what I enjoy and how I think and reason. And it reads my blog posts. It reads my emails. Right? And so from there, it gets a good picture of what you're good at. And it's a fucking computer. It can synthesize information quickly. And you can ask it based on what you've seen and what we talked about and everything. What am I good at? So I asked it this. And some of the things that it spit out like 10 things, but some of the things that it said I was good at that ties into today's episode was that I'm good at pattern recognition and synthesizing information. I'm good at observing culture and calling things forward. And I'm good at being a bridge, namely between what people are doing currently and what they could do differently. And so that is exactly what I want to do with the rest of today's episode. So today's episode, the main topic is the funnel industrial complex. All right, so right off the bat, let's get on the same page as to what an industrial complex is, because I was like, oh, I had this wrong. I always thought it kind of meant like just like a big and pervasive thing. That's wrong. That's incomplete. what makes something an industrial complex is its self-reinforcing circularity, right? Where the pieces of that system, they feed into and they justify the other parts of the system. So it just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. You've likely heard of the military industrial complex. You've likely heard of probably the prison industrial complex, right? So I want to use those as examples to highlight and explain what I mean by this self-reinforcing circularity. So the military industrial complex, right? Or let me take a step back. Both of these things, right? They are rooted in profit. So it's like a circle, but like not really, right? It's self-reinforcing. And I'm going to talk about this later about why I like that term, right? But it's not a true circle. It is rooted in profit. So military industrial complex, what is this quote unquote circle? Well, first off, we have private corporations that want to make money. They want to make continued profits. They realize that they can make weapons and sell them, and weapons and technology and things like that. They can sell them to the government. The government will buy them and pay them a lot of money. So they do that. These companies then lobby for increased budgets and policies that favor military expansion, right? They're making weapons and surveillance systems and things like that. Yes, they want the government to have policies that expands that creates more demand for that. All right, so they lobby for it. Politicians then look to get these money from these lobbying groups, and they're like, yeah, okay, we'll support your issues, but give us money. So these companies give money. These politicians then push for these military expansions and these operations. This is something that Eisenhower actually spoke about and warned about. Right? As the military expands its operations, conflict and instability become, prioritized. Right? If it's kind of like, if you are just putting all of your time and effort into like getting really big and really strong, when you're going to go deal with other people, perhaps that's all you go to look to lean into then, is the fact that like, hey, I'm bigger and stronger than you. You don't really lean on the fact that we can have like kind of diplomacy there. You're like, listen, I'm bigger. Listen to me. All right, so this approach is prioritized. From that, we have issues with relations, and then we have threats, whether they're real or exaggerated. They become justified to continue growing the military, making that person bigger, which means new contracts are awarded to those companies that make the weapons, the surveillance systems, the tech, the military tech, and the cycle continues. The prison industrial complex, again, also rooted in profit. Corporations, they realize they can profit from incarceration. Fucking prisons are for profit. They're like, hey, I can make money with this thing. I'm going to build them, but I got to fill them then. All right, so these corporations, they build and promote prisons. They then lobby for harsher sentencing, more surveillance, increased police policies, because that's how we're going to get people into the prisons. Politicians then say, hey, we want that money. Okay, I will take that money in exchange for campaigning and promoting your interests, which is harsher sentences, more surveillance, more policing. Right? Law enforcement disproportionately targets certain people. Incarceration rates rise. As the numbers go up, this justifies, and it's like, hey, there's more people in here. There's too many people in here. We got to get more prisons. On top of that, we have social issues being criminalized, right? Instead of actually being addressed systemically. And so prisons grow. People believe that they're helpful and we need them because these issues have been criminalized. Right? And it's that people are fucking campaigning off of it. And so as the prisons grow, we have this, we need to have more of them then. And as people campaign on crime rates that aren't actually true, people believe, yes, we need more of them. And so the cycle restarts as corporations realize we can make a profit from this. And we are going to push to have more prisons built. And it just keeps going around and around. But you do see how part of it, there is definitely a starting point to that, which is that folks want profit, man. They want to fucking make money. There's greed, and it's greed off of like gross shit. Right? To me, it's pretty fucking terrible. And hopefully it does, these two examples highlight this self-reinforcing nature of things. And like I said before, when I was writing out this what is it called? This outline, I was really sitting with the words. I really wanted to make sure the words were accurate here. And I do like this phrase, this term, self-reinforcing, because it speaks to the fact that these systems aren't addressing actual demands. They are creating the demands, right? They're not like, their continued growth is not supported by, they have a product that's addressing growing demands. No, they are literally creating the demand and then self-justifying or self-reinforcing, right? And at the heart of it is profit and greed, right? Capitalism will fuck you up. I've said in the past that I was okay with capitalism, and that was honestly before I learned the word commerce. Thank you, Laura Jean. There was confusion there. I'm okay with commerce. We always do. It's great, amazing. Capitalism, no. It is extractive in nature, and it demands infinite profit from finite resources in a closed system. That ain't it. So let's move on to the funnel industrial complex. Right? If you're at all in the online space, you've heard of the word funnels. If you're in my ecosystem, then there's a good chance you know that I hate that word, only slightly less than I hate the word systems. Right? Just so we're on the same page here, definition-wise, a funnel is simply a structured sequence of steps that's designed to take someone from their initial awareness of the product, of the offer, the service, the company, to purchasing something. Right? That's the funnel. The funnel industrial complex speaks to that self-reinforcing nature of the funnel industry. You get a funnel, you get a funnel, you get a funnel. Everybody gets a funnel on funnels on funnels on funnels on funnels. And you got to make it more complex and keep going. And this one didn't work. And so you got to make it even more complex. And if you want people to buy, the only way that they're going to buy is if they're in a funnel. No. So the funnel industrial complex, right, which again is rooted in profit. Early online marketers. So we're thinking about people like, what is his name? From Product Launch Formula, Jeff. I can't even remember his name. But we see these and Russell Brunson. He came later though. Jeff from PLF came like way earlier, way before. But either way, these earlier marketers, anyone that's in the game, in the business earlier, in the space earlier, they start selling things online and they realize, hey, I can sell stuff online. What they end up selling to other people is their system. And they sell them as this like universally applicable system, the PLF formula, product launch formula, right? From here, we start to see software companies come into the mix, and other coaches that utilize this, right? And they join this and they're just like, yes, I'm going to sell a funnel as the only path to success. If you're not having success because your funnel is not good. So then the market creators, they adopt these funnels, they use them because they believe, hey, if I want to succeed, I have to do this, right? I was actually first introduced to PLF through Doc Jen Fitch. I came into the online space and I was like, I'm thinking about selling this course. And she was like, buy this book. I'm looking over to the side. I'm like, I have it. Right? You get into the online space and you're like, I don't really know how to do this. And so you go and you read something and you don't have to do it that way. I didn't do it that way because I was like, seems too complex for me. But many people do. Right? What happens is the market, at some point, we're here, becomes saturated with predictable, funnels, especially like a specific type of funnel. The audience becomes fatigued, resistant, skeptical, and not buying in the same way. And so creators are sold newer, more complex funnels to fix those declining results, which creates another cycle of the funnel industrial complex, right? Another cycle where we got these marketers, these business coaches, these software companies that are like, oh, I'm making some money because people are buying because they think that this thing is going to be the thing that allows them to make $1 zillion and it allows people to, crack the code, right? Don't get me wrong, folks. I am not like super opposed to strategy, right? But also the strategy can be that you have a really fucking good product or offer or service that help people. And then it gets results for them. And then they share how good you are. And then you ask them to share it with their friends. And more than that, though, they share it of their own accord or they, give you testimonials. And then more people come in and get results and they share how good you are. And that's the cycle, right? We tend to see this definitely a lot more in the in-person space. And we see it with people that have been in business for a longer time. Right? But online, where you really, when you're just getting started, it's a space where you can't really like lean into like that physical guerrilla marketing tactics. And so people have been, led to believe that you need to make every touch point, and every piece of content, it needs to move people towards a sale, which is just like, ew. You don't have to be, right? Everything does not have to move someone towards a sale. And every sell does not need to be some huge complex ordeal. Again, I am not against strategy. I'm not against selling, right? You have to, yes, absolutely put your offers in front of people. And if you're like writing about something and like, the footer of your email says the ways people work, that's fine. By all means. I am just here to open people's eyes to this, like, this funnel industrial complex, and the fact that it's just like funnels being pushed upon and pushed and pushed and pushed is the only way, and that like every single touch point has to lead to a sale, and that like, it doesn't have to be that way. And also, consumers don't want that, right? I actually wrote to my mafia about this last week. This episode is kind of inspired by what happened last week, which was a family down the road. Like they're like, I don't know, 2 like avenues away. They're moving, and they had put like 2, like we have like really big garbage bins that come around. If you folks follow me, you know that the recycling truck comes and it gets those big bins. So they had put 2 of those out in the street, and they had put poster board on them. They taped it to it, and it was a simple sign that said, "Hey, can you please not park here? We're trying to save this space for a large moving truck that's coming tomorrow." And it said it in fewer words, but it was very much like, "Please, moving truck, don't park here." And it said the people's names. That was it, 2 of them. So I saw this on whatever night, and I was like, well, I guess in the morning I'll see if it worked. And I walked back the next morning because I was walking Moose. That's when I saw it. And there was a huge fucking moving truck there, right? It had worked. Right? A kind and simple ask can also work. Right? I just want to, present the other side of things. We've gone so far into this side of things. And it's like, all right, don't forget about the simple, just ask, right? I know that I personally have spoken about professionalizing the creator economy. I talked about it last episode when I was speaking about Substack. I've talked about an actual episode that was professionalizing the creator economy. But that does not require that we dehumanize the creator economy, right? Professionalizing it doesn't mean dehumanizing it, right? Remember that you're selling to humans, and you yourself be a human. Right? Given that we are working with humans, understand that the pendulum always goes too far before it comes back. And I think we're in that phase of it coming back. I think we're entering that phase, and people and everything that's happening with this current administration is really expediting that. I think COVID expedited it. And then now this current administration is expediting the fact that people want, there's a growing affinity, nostalgia, a return to shopping small, and supporting mom and pop shops, and supporting the individual creator, and wanting more human interaction and connection, right? I remember during COVID, I was like, can I speak to a fucking person? I don't want another robot. When I go and look for the help desk, I don't want to go to the chat bot. I'm like, Jesus, no, you're not going to be able to solve my problem, right? And I am still buying things right now. Yeah, the economy is being bad, but if I'm spending my money, I'm like, I want to spend it on supporting individuals that I know, that I like, that I trust, that I believe in. I don't want to give it to some big, huge, corporation. So again, I am not anti-tech. I am not anti-strategy. I use both to a certain degree, especially the tech side of things. Right? But I'm not going super deep dive with like, oh, I got all these automations so that I can have all this deep dive, crazy upsell, downsell, order bump, and all of this shit to move people through a funnel. Like, if that's your thing, by all means, keep going, enjoy it. But if you are listening to this being like, should I do more with my funnel? Is my funnel the problem? Do I need a funnel? Like, or just wanting to hear about funnels, this is my take on it, right? My goal with this episode is largely to open your eyes and perhaps put some words to this, that thing that I know this thing that I believe exists, right? And this system that we are very much being served and that we're inside of, right? Which is the funnel industrial complex. You very likely do not need a better funnel or a new funnel, especially if you're just starting out, right? Especially. So this is my continued reminder that your business is an opportunity to do things how you want to do them, and to start doing them that way right now. I spoke about the last update from before was, people just being like, I'm not doing great. I don't have much hope. And I get it. And one of the things we can do is, if you have a business, use it. Use it to lead and to sell and to run a business in the way that you want it to be done, in the way that you would like to see commerce being done, in the way that you would like to be sold to. Right? All right. Getting worked up, so I'm going to get out of here. See Rupert back there? Doesn't even care. As always, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. I haven't put out a call to action in a bit, but if you're listening, 1, thank you. 2, if you have any requests, it's always open. The door is always open. Shoot me a DM at the Movement Maestro. Shoot me a text, 310-737-2345. I would love to hear from you. The text will be green. It is a sideline. I'm not giving out my personal number. Come on. But it is me. All right, and I would love to hear from you. All right? All right, that's all I got for you. Again, thank you. Truly, truly grateful. Until next time, friends, Maestro out.